Okay, student, Dr. O here, about to show you how to compile some information for Workshop 1, which has to do with community science data. And this will be important because we're going to use this sort of skill of getting data from different sources and compiling it in some kind of a table for at least 2 of our workshops this semester. The thing you're really going for is to get data in such a way that you can end up with species and abundance. In this case, each row should be its own species, and then the abundance in the same row in a different column. Other ancillary data, there's a ton of data you could get from that are oftentimes related to the records that you're interested in. But what we're, for our purposes, mostly concerned with is just location and date. So if we've got multiple locations or multiple dates, we're keeping track of that. I think the easiest one to get you started actually comes from the North American Butterfly Association. So let's check them out. So here's NABA, North American Butterfly Association, and this is a great website that you should check out, and a neat society that you might consider joining. But what we're interested in for our purposes right now is just butterfly monitoring. Here you've got access to butterfly counts, which actually function a lot like the Christmas bird counts by the National Audubon Society, where it's a set day of the year, and people sign up and go out and survey and count all the butterflies in a particular circle. Here it could be for the individual user. If you were to form your own, get your own account going, you could keep a ready list of your life list of butterflies you've seen. But what we want right now is recent sightings. So these are just reports that people who are members have submitted recently. And these go back, check out the archive over here. So there's 2020, 2019. You can easily go back all the way to 2012 with individual sightings by month for all sorts of people who've, put in data. So let's just scroll around randomly here and pick a year and a month. And let's see, let's do 2017 September. Okay, it's thinking. So we're getting all of the reports that were submitted in September of 2017, of which there were 298, which is a lot. It's still thinking. See that part? Okay, here we go. So here are our sightings from 2017, beginning with Andrew Block from Larchmont, New York. Here's Jeffrey Rabkin from Queens. Fred Cahan from Burlington County, New Jersey. John Heiss from Mendocino County in California. Marcy Daniels in Did they say Dorchester? Or did they say Duster, like they would in Massachusetts, in South Carolina? Let's try hers from Somerville, South Carolina. That sounds nice, right? And look, check this out. Here you've got the species and the abundance. It's all here for you. So we're just going to copy that and paste it right into our table. Now, in this case, the abundance estimate is sort of tied with the species with these data. So we're going to have to just enter those one at a time, which is fine. So there's 2, 2, 1, 2, 1, 15. Wow, 15 Gulf fritillaries. 1 and 1. So there we go. Species abundance. Our location was Somerville, South Carolina. And our date was September 1st, right? Yeah, so September 1st. So 9/1/2017. Okay. Now, we want to fill this information down into these other cells in our table as well. And if we just did that, if we just sort of highlighted them both and clicked on the bottom corner and dragged down, we could do that. Only there's a problem. Excel's default is to see these dates as a sequence. So that's not the best way to do it. Instead, we'll just sort of copy and get 2 entries for September 1st there, right? And then we'll highlight both of those rows and columns and click and drag from that corner so they all come out as September 1st for our data. All right, so that's how easy it is to get the kind of data you need for Workshop 1 and Workshop 2, and maybe even Workshop 3, through the North American Butterfly Association. Because that was so easy, I'm going to show you another cool trick that has to do with just something in Excel. And that is sometimes just because, I fancy things that way, I like to sort things by abundance. So what I'm going to do is highlight this whole little table, and I'm going to go up to Data in Excel, and I'm going to sort. In this case, it wants to know, for one, my list has headers, so I've got location, date, species, and abundance. And this is clicked, my list has headers. Okay, so that sounds good. I want to sort by abundance. And I want to go largest to smallest. And then, boop, there we go. So now we've got the most abundant species listed first, which is Gulf fritillary, black swallowtail, and eastern tiger swallowtail, both with 2 coming in next, and cloudless sulfur. And then Palamede swallowtail. Boy, I've never heard of that. The sleepy orange, that sounds like a bar I used to go to. Zebra heliconian, cool, and the painted lady, nice. So now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 species. I've got a real abundance estimates for each one. This is exactly the type of data we want. With the these little checklists for butterflies, they typically aren't that long. If you're dealing with a lot of species, it can be kind of cumbersome sometimes. Especially that's the case with some of the easy ways to get, for example, eBird data, where you might be having hundreds of species in a list. So sometimes we might sort a list just for our purposes in our workshops as like the top 10 most abundant, or the top 20 or something like that. So that's why the sorting function can be kind of useful. But in this case, it's just it's a very easily managed number of species that would be also enough, a high enough species richness to do some of the things we want to do later on in terms of calculations of biodiversity. So this is a great start at how to get data, in this case from the North American Butterfly Association. And then we'll try another one in a minute.